Okay, let's try that. There we go. That'll probably get my voice out to folks. Ah, da 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 dee. Skip a dip a dap doo. Oh man, it's just nuclear. Let's see. Yes, folks, I'm still working. Yeah, it's a solo. It's gonna be a solo ship tonight. Steve needed the night off, and I was happy to oblige. And happy to give him a night off. So you'll see Steve next time. And this does let me test out some other formats, though. This would be kind of cool. So we'll see video and photos in this corner, or next to me on my left. So we'll see how that goes. If we like that, maybe on the next time me and Steve get back on, we'll kind of alternate where the photos show up on the boxes, just so people can see it a little bit better. So yeah, we're gonna give this a try. We also might start doing more scene transitions. We do that for videos already, where we transition to a different screen for videos. But for some of the photos, if we're gonna kind of cycle through a few of them, might throw some more on there. So. All right, folks. So yeah, you're gonna still see me doing a little pre-production. I'm gonna add some more photos for us. So just give me one moment, and I'll be wrapped up and ready to go in just a second. Skip it back. What? The FCC? Whatever we'll be talking about them for? Probably because it did a big no-no. Really big no-no. Skip it. Well, I hope everyone's day has been amazing. And if there's things you want to talk about tonight, go ahead and start letting me know in the chat. So if there's something that a big news item that you want to talk about, some things definitely with the Venom trailer dropped today, so we'll be talking about that. Along with the, what was it? Ah, crap, brain is freezing. It's not thinking. Along with what else came out? Stranger Things. Yeah. We're getting our first ever Muppet Halloween, which is crazy. Get these logos in there. Skip it back. We have some great video game news. Resident Evil is pretty darn good, I have to admit. Hopefully y'all got to see my stream. I'll probably play Returnal tonight, and I think maybe after Commander Shipp show on Wednesday I'll get back into Resident Evil, because I have been watching developer run-throughs on Returnal, and actually I have a cool you know what, toward the end of the show I'll share a really cool Returnal story on my last run, it was really good. I was really excited. I thought I was gonna be able to keep that run going. That did not end up happening, but it was not a bad run by any means. It's just yeah, the game is mean. It's not unfair. The game is mean, but it's not unfair. Let's see. Before other folks ask, no, I did not have time to watch The Bad Batch. That was my plan after, I think, Tuesday night's Quorum. I just did not have time, or either just wasn't in the mood there. So yeah. Next time, though. Next time. I mean, it's not going anywhere. So we'll be all right. All right, and I apologize for the folks that are on Facebook. It might say that we're streaming Resident Evil Village. That is not true. So I definitely apologize for that. I've been trying to fix that for the longest. It's like as soon as you pick as soon as you pick something to, when we are streaming other stuff during the week, it gets hella confused. So let's see. He's got that. All right, I got that. Da, da, da. Checking my notes. And the May the that's right. They gave us a longer episode for the May the. Well, I think it was already going to be a longer episode, but the May the 4th one is like either like 3 episodes long or just like that's 72 minutes. So gotta find a little more than an hour block of time for you to be able to get in there and talk about Bad Batch. What else we got? You know, also when you're reading, it's very hard. I get American Horror Story and American Ninja Warrior are not the same thing. That would be a funny mix-up. That'd be a little funny. Warner Media, Ethan Hawke, Avengers, Assemble. Yeah, of course that's not gonna work. Skip it, Pat. Yep. Even more Avengers nonsense going on. Yeah, but hey, with another season of American Horror Story, that means if you all are not caught up, our wonderful writer Logan Roden has been covering the previous seasons. So if you want to catch up with them, you can definitely be reading along with their reviews. So almost read it almost like as a season guide. You can read as long as you rewatch. Let's see, and I'll just. What else are you supposed to have? Starcraft. Scooter doo. Scooter doo. Boo doo doo. Yep, y'all weren't ready for that. Y'all didn't know there was gonna be singing. Y'all wasn't ready. Of course, singing. Oh my gosh. Everyone's gonna be like, what was that? It's called Photos, folks. Because there's great news for those 2 games, which we'll get to in a moment. So really good news for both those games. It's really quite the accomplishment. I guess it's not surprising that this would eventually happen, but it's just really good. Cool to see. Some Hall of Fame news. Did you know there was a video game Hall of Fame, folks? Did you know that? See, I learned something on this show every day. I knew there was museums. I did not know there was a Hall of Fame, though. So, or things that get sent into the Library of Congress. So I know that. But I did not know there was a Hall of Fame. So, hey, this show can educate even the people that are coming on to talk to you about the things happening throughout the week. Dun, 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 dun. All right. I think I am... What else? I think that's it. I think that is it. All right. Clubhouse, FCC. All right. Dogecoin. Because the show wouldn't be complete if we didn't talk about Dogecoin. Oh my gosh, it drives me nuts that this is a real thing. This is a real thing. Oh yeah. Let's see. Can we get that? Nope. I know. One more sec, folks. We're so close. And then I know your natural response is, Kenneth, why don't you start the notes sooner? Well, because I'm always working on something before the show starts. Y'all, I got life. I love y'all. I want to do good things by y'all, but shit is hard, son. Shit is hard. All right, I think we're. Yes, important. Look at that. Look at that cute dog. Look at that cutie. Look at that cutie. Don't you just want to pinch his cheeks? All right. I think we're. All right. Turn off Animal Crossing. Where are you, Doge? Oh, Doge. Doge. I think the only thing we're not going to be able to get to is like one fellow streamer that was saying some wild nonsense. Might have to follow that up on Rundown. But if not, here we go. Cool. All right. I think we are good to go. All right, everyone. Welcome to State of the Nerd Union. I am Commander Shipp. As I stated before, my esteemed co-host, Steve Grandmaster Fro Fox, is out for the night, but his imprint is on these notes, so he's still giving up his time to make sure that I could be ready to go tonight. So shout out to Steve, wherever you are listening. Well, Phil was like, it's probably only one place he's at, actually. Probably still at his house. All right. So let's just get right into it. So we're going to tackle quick hits. The quick hits. Last night, the Women's Championship of American Ninja Warrior. So it's the first time that has happened in American Ninja Warrior history. So the first time they've had this championship for women only. And Jesse Graff, one of my faves, stumbled at the qualifying round, did not make it to the finals. And Megan Martin ended up winning the entire thing. So shout out to Megan Martin. Patty Jenkins even made a surprise appearance just to root on Jesse Graff. In the end, Megan Martin won. So that's a huge accomplishment for American Ninja Warrior. This is not saying that the bracket or the divisions need to be split up, but I feel like it's always great that anyone can compete in the main events, and they're making this separate bracketed off championship for the women to also have shots of getting that 50,000 grand prize. There's nothing to scoff at. Maybe they can throw some more money. I forget what the actual amount is for the normal championship. I want to say it's the same amount, but I could be speaking out of turn there. So don't want to accuse them of underpaying the women there. But yeah, shout out to Megan Martin. Excellent job. And moving on, Muppets Haunted Mansion. There's a Gonzo is going to be asked to stay one night in the Haunted Mansion at Disney, along with the rest of the Muppet crew and some other celebrity guest spots. So I did not know this is the first Halloween special. There might have been Halloween themed episodes of the Muppets, but there weren't actual specials in the way that you have like Muppet Treasure Island, Muppet Christmas Carol, and things like that. So it's actually kind of a really cool change up. And being a big Muppets fan, I always joke that I was not a huge Muppets fan, but that's actually not the truth. I rather love the Muppets. I think some people might drive me nuts of their Muppet love, but I got no hate for the Muppets. The teaser's out on YouTube, so go check it out. We're kind of keeping the volume down today so we don't get DMCA strikes for trying to help promote their stuff. And as you see at the end of the trailer, it will be premiering on Disney Plus this fall. So that will be happening this year. All right. Next up. So Scott Pilgrim was supposed to come out. The 10-year anniversary was last year, so obviously that happened during a quarantine. So a lot of people were not going to be able to watch the anniversary screenings, or ergo they did not get shown. So last week is when that started. So they did a 1-week engagement. If you missed it, it's actually going to run again. It started on the 7th. We would have talked about it in the rundown, but we didn't get a chance to. But that started on the 7th, so you still have another week to go catch Scott Pilgrim. Some theaters might keep it through to the weekend, this coming weekend, but it'll definitely be playing in some theaters during the week. AMC was not shown it the previous week, but they've added that into the repertoire this past weekend and this week. So you have more potential theaters to go watch it than you did before. So yeah, if you want to go catch this back in theaters, and it's been remastered, so audio fidelity can be seen on Dolby Vision, heard on Dolby Vision as well. So it's just a really good master of Scott Pilgrim. So it might be worth your time to go at that. Still be safe. Probably not, if you haven't been vaccinated, maybe not be a good chance for you to go to the theater, but just kind of check out your screenings. A lot of them have reserved seats, so you go check that out and see what you need to do beforehand. All right. Let's see. So Twitter user Raspy Fu, I apologize, Raphael, if I'm screwing that up. He asked a simple question to James Gunn: is there a post-credit scene for Suicide Squad coming out? Warner Brothers come out in August, and he said that single letter A, and that was quite hilarious to me because that probably means we're gonna get multiple end credit scenes for Suicide Squad. And if I had to guess, based on what we've seen with Guardians of the Galaxy, if you remember from the first Guardians Volume 1, they basically had the Jackson 5 song playing, I Want You Back, and they're kind of going through different, kind of like a montage. I would not be surprised if something similar like that. Or Guardians Volume 2 had some really subtle shots there toward the end when the Guardians Inferno song with Hasselhoff started playing toward the end. So you had these little shots of Jeff Goldblum's character from Ragnarok. Sorry, I'm blanking on his name right now. It's not the Collector. I can't think of it right now. But you had different kind of little shots of people doing dances and things there at the end. I wouldn't be surprised. You know, James Gunn's super creative in that way, so whatever he comes up with, I'm sure will be super fun. And yeah, I'm very intrigued to see what he pulls out. So, How I Met Your... Oh, goodness. What happened to the photo? We were doing so good. Oh, goodness. All right. How I Met Your Father. Hilary Duff is... it's going to be coming out... either later this year or coming into next year. Hilary Duff gave an interview on Jess Cable's... Oh, sorry. Jess Cagle. I was about to say Jess Cable. Jess Cable's show on XM, Sirius XM Radio, on her personal show. And was talking about there will be tie-ins to the original How I Met Your Mother show. And possibly some guest appearances from the original cast. So that's really exciting. We did get a little more information on her character Sophie, though. And I'll read it straight from Hilary Duff, and maybe this will remind you of some show, possibly. I don't know. Maybe it will. There's so much opportunity for love stories of the show because it's Sophie and then 3 dudes. So it's going down that whole rabbit hole of like, well, which one was the father? And you get to go through all of Sophie's young experience of finding love and dating and what that's like in the modern world. Why does that sound so familiar? I don't know. That sounds really familiar. I don't know. God, what could... I don't know. If y'all let me know in the comments, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, if you know what that sounds like, you know what movie that might sound like, I don't know. It's ringing a bell. I don't get it. Moving on. Angelica Ross, who's been starring in different seasons of American Horror Story, specifically has had a role in Pose, Ryan Murphy's soon to end on its 3rd season Pose, has talked about working on American Horror Story season 10, and I'll quote them specifically because they had a lot of appreciation for their role and what they got to do. Ross says, honestly, I was super excited just to get back to work, and once I started reading the script for the first 6 episodes, so for context, next season is going to be 12 episodes, kind of split between 6 episodes each, and apparently they're both in different eras or different time periods, so the first 6 episodes during one time period, and then another in the last 6. This has been her favorite role next to Candy. Candy will probably forever stay her number 1 until further notice, but she loves the look in her. She loves her look in this show. Oh, hush, Google. Who even told you to speak, Google? Who said? Oh gosh. But she's super excited for the fans to see what her next character is, and I think it's going to be legendary. And she gasped at how her story arc ends. Also noted that Ryan Murphy requested that she wear her natural hair. All right, shout out Ryan. There might be some other issues I have with Ryan Murphy, but kudos on that. And that's why she says she felt the most beautiful in this role. They're doing things with my natural hair that just really affirms me as a black woman. And I think it's going to affirm other black women who watch the show that see other characters who don't wear wigs and wear natural hair textures and short hair at that. I think it's going to be beautiful, and I can't wait for the audience to see it. On top of that, it seems like there's other Ryan Murphy projects getting ready to launch because she's bought an apartment in LA and plans to stay around for a while because she's going to have work. So shout out to Angelica Ross. I might bring that back up next week on Super Blurred Variety Hour because I've been watching through the show Hollywood and I have feelings about it, but and feelings about Ryan Murphy. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Not necessarily all bad, just complicated thoughts. Cool. Let's see what is next. So Warner Media Group, of who we talked about quite a bit on this show, Warner Brothers, along with how they're tied with AT&T, HBO Max, they're joining the chorus of studios booing on the Hollywood Foreign Press. Specifically, they're the ones that run the Golden Globes. If you've seen me and Tom on the Commander Shipp show, and we'll bring this up again on Wednesday, we have thoroughly denounced the Golden Globes because of how trash they are and how problematic they've been up until this point. So this is not a new thing. So kudos to Warner Brothers for joining in with that. So basically, here's what's going on. A lot of studios are pulling their plugs of interaction with these groups until changes are happening because they really need huge wholesale changes. You've had different studies and Time's Up has also come and given a full report on what they felt needed to happen, and there's been almost no movement towards those kind of changes. While Hollywood Foreign Press would like to do some small changes, the kind of reform that they need is pretty massive and really needs a mallet to them in order for that to happen. So, and specifically from Warner Media, while we commend the HFPA's membership approval of the plan to move towards radical reform, we don't believe the plan goes far enough in addressing the breadth of our concerns, nor does your timeline capture the immediate need by which these issues should be addressed. And that's coming from the top brass at AT&T, from Warner Media, but owned by AT&T. So, and again, this has been backed by bunch of different studio groups so far. So we'll see if they wise up to that, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit more on Wednesday. And I forgot to say that this is our For the Cinephiles segment. I talked about the quick hits segment. This has not all been quick hits. We've been doing the Cinephile. I promise we're going to get some graphics up there to note the signified changes. All right, moving on. Ethan Hawke has been caught on set in Budapest for the Disney Plus show Moon Knight, starring Oscar Isaac as Mark Spencer, the titular character Moon Knight. And he's been seen in a brown suit and a walking cane. And it doesn't seem to fit the character that he's playing. So we're kind of curious, like what Ethan Hawke's been teased as the villain, but we don't actually know that for sure. So maybe his role is not what we thought it was, or maybe there'll be some mentorship or partnership. Because Mark Spector does start out as a mercenary, so maybe it's one of the other mercenaries that he's with in the beginning of his story before he becomes Moon Knight, and a bunch of other things happen with Spectre Industries or Enterprises. Yeah. So we shall see. But nice to know that production is going along smoothly, and we'll keep you abreast of whatever else comes out of it. Cool. Now we're gonna move on to game time. Man, I really want Marvel's Avengers to be good, but they're not doing anything to help themselves. It's painful. It's hard to watch. Okay. So, at their most recent event, Red Room Takeover, which is a nod to Black Widow, Marvel, they're receiving a big backlash after it became apparent that the new skins added weren't unlocked by playing the event, but instead were simply paid for. Guess you can see where the anger is going to come up from the gamers. Instead, for the event, players only have the opportunity to unlock nameplates, a dramatically less engaging mechanic that players had already voiced do not make for a good event reward. This is really sad. So, yeah, if there's gonna be any opportunity for them to like turn the ship around, they are slowly but steadily um, uh, continuing to poke holes in the ship, and you hate to see it. You hate to see it. You really do. Um, so maybe they'll be able to get it around. Maybe the game just needs maybe it needs a Destiny 2 thing. I'll be completely honest. It might be at that point that it's just so thoroughly trashed that you might need to just scrap everything you're doing. And which also, I hate it because I love the story of this game. I think the story is really solid. We can talk about the character models forever, but I think the story is really solid. But again, all the things you were promised with the war room and online components have just been so lackluster. On top of the not loot boxes, but the pay to play effectively, or to get to the things that you love and want in the game. It's been dreadful, dreadfully terrible. Yeah, so will they get it turned around? I don't know. It's starting to smell like they're going to have to do a Destiny 2 thing. And for folks that don't understand what we mean by that, Destiny 1 is okay. I don't think it, I mean, it got a little fairly lambasted when it came out, but it quickly fixed a lot of things, but drastically improved when Destiny 2 came out. They just hit a lot of things better, hit the ground running a lot better with things on Destiny 2. And they still had issues with Destiny 2. There's still issues that happened in the beginning of Destiny 2, but they still, generally that launch was considered a lot better, and have subsequently brought Destiny 1 maps and things and missions and objectives into Destiny 2. Destiny 2 is kind of now like the world for people to live and exist in that gets you part of the Destiny content. They have a vault now, which is kind of like storing older missions that people won't be able to do anymore for a while in Destiny 2, but they're kind of rotating things in. That's what they talked about last year as far as like how they're going to rotate things in. So you probably won't see a Destiny 3 for a while because they've just done such a good job of rebuilding the community in Destiny 2 that like we're good. I have a sneaky suspicion Avengers will need to either do that, or it might be more of a No Man's Sky situation where you're just your PR campaign is just more of like quit saying dumb shit, quit doing dumb shit. You have a core mechanic that's cool. No Man's Sky had a core mechanic that's cool. So just promise on the deliverables, which when No Man's Sky did, people that were in it were like, okay. So maybe that Avengers can do that, but I'm sensing it's the former. I'm sensing they're gonna have to probably kill it and do a new thing. So we shall see. We shall see what's coming up next. So I talked about Game Hall of Fame, and this was something was news to me. But Starcraft and Animal Crossing, after being narrowed down from a list of 12 finalists, the Strong National Museum of Play has added 4 new games to its World Video Game Hall of Fame. These include Microsoft Flight Simulator, the 1982 edition, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, the classic PC game from 1985, Starcraft 98, and Animal Crossing 2001. Starcraft, so first 3 all PC games, or particularly in this concept of Flight Simulator, actual simulator, and then Animal Crossing on the Nintendo GameCube. And its launch year. So that was not a launch title for the GameCube, but it was in the launch year for the GameCube. And yeah, that's been a pretty... I have a lot of love for Animal Crossing, as I think a lot of people do. And Starcraft, I mean, I don't know what else you need to say about Starcraft. There's just whole... we think about online... We think about esport leagues. We think about esport leagues. Don't be coming at me with no Overwatch... or fight, like I guess you could say pick a fighting game, probably Street Fighter. Yeah, I'd probably say if you're gonna talk about what kicked off esports, I would say I would take Street Fighter. Yeah, I would take Street Fighter, maybe a little bit of Smash, StarCraft. You probably could add some other things in that, but yeah, its impact in that realm has been can't be overstated. It really can't. So. Congrats to Animal Crossing and StarCraft specifically. That's the things that came out to mind to me. But I guess also, I don't play a lot of Flight Sim. That's not something that necessarily was on my computer installed a lot. Just because also memory resources. Yeah, that's historically always been a thing with Flight Simulator. But yeah, let's keep moving on. Dang it, we did not get a photo for this one. But League of Legends animated series teaser. So it's getting a Netflix animated show called Arcane. And the show will focus on Piltover and Zon, two big settings from within the game that will follow the origins of two iconic League champions and the power that will tear them apart. So we don't have a release date for that yet, but you can definitely go check out the teaser online. And again, I apologize that I wasn't able to pull that and have that ready for tonight's show. But speaking of esport games, League of Legends also has a massive following in that Starcraft range and stuff, so on and so forth. Like, it's the new big kid on the playground. I was gonna say the pond. That's not what I big kid on the pond. That doesn't even make any sense. Ugh. All right. So I got to play Resident Evil 8 Village this past weekend, and it was quite a blast. So it's been reviewed very highly on streams, on Metacritic, user scores. And again, I like Steve's note. If you're holding out to see if it's good, it looks like the water is fine, so hop on in. Totally agree. Now, there's the only thing that's irking me about the game is, the only thing I think will irk you maybe when you initially start, there are some confusing, like, it's not necessarily clear what you need to do in a few instances. So I think some of that could be some level design or actually not even the design of the level, just it's not always obvious what you need to do. Some things I would keep note of is, like, look for yellow. Like, anytime you see yellow, probably is going to be painted on the thing or painted on an object. And there's some things after you play through or die once or twice, you'll be like, okay. So it's not Dark Souls hard or anything like that, or multiple deaths. You have to really learn patterns and things like that. And be really try to figure out what they're asking you to do when you enter into a new space or new area. If you just try to run through, like, obviously you're going to do speed run, that's a different thing. You probably already know where things are at and have done that a few times. But in your initial playthrough, I would recommend just what are they asking me for in this space? And I promise you'll avoid some headaches early on. And there are some areas you're not going to be able to get back to. So I would highly recommend you check every room as much as possible. That's really good Resident Evil advice anyway, just so you can get items and collect gear and combine things to create health items and create more ammunition for your guns, because you're going to need it. You're going to need it. I stupidly was trying to use my knife to save bullets, and I've not quite gotten that down yet. Of course, tacking in the back always helps, so good tip. Strafe and hit. All right, I promise you. All right, but that said, you're gonna need ammo. Find your gunpowder. Find your rust parts. Build ammo. Save up for buying things from Duke, who's quite terrifyingly coming out of weird spots throughout the game. So, yeah. And sometimes it might be good to run. It's okay to run. Regroup. You don't always have to. I tried to stand and fight in a few spots and really messed myself up. So, all right. So that's on it on. Yeah, it's really good. It's good. I like it. God, there's some crazy stuff that happens to Ethan, and I will not talk about that. Maybe if you saw my playthrough, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I will not ruin that for the folks that haven't watched that yet. All right. So let's talk about iOS. And this is actually not anything bad on iOS, but it's a tracking agreement. And I'll read specifically what Steve is giving me on here. So Facebook specifically has been pushing to promote app tracking, which essentially allows them to target you better for ads, long before Apple made it optional in iOS 14.5. Optional meaning that now users have to opt into providing extra data to companies like Facebook rather than opt out. And we could talk a lot about design, but there's really something powerful about the difference in opting in and opting out, because you have to opt out, and particularly if it's burdensome to do so, most likely human nature, you're not going to do that. Whereas if we're told what you need to do and you need to opt into a thing, again, kind of goes into the same thing of that takes energy to do that, even if it is. We can track how many clicks before someone starts to get exhausted for a form, or when people start to kind of tune out and just start want to just rush through a form, we can track how many number of clicks that takes. So it's really important, this idea of opting in, opting out. Since this change, Flurry Analytics has determined that only 4% of American iPhone users running a new update have opted in, with that value only reaching 12% globally. So 4% of US users, 12% globally. And while Facebook has suggested that the opt-in strategy is an attack on small businesses, stating that some companies might have to start charging for site access without previous levels of ad personalization, I'll quote Steve, Apple said, "Nah, fuck that, son," stating that users deserve choice and transparency. And this is coming from Apple. And I'm not saying Apple's ever been bad on privacy. If anything, Apple's been probably one of the best champions of privacy as far as like things, policies they've initiated in tech, or things they've done software-wise in their tech. There might be some other issues I have with Apple, but I have to give them credit and kudos here, and specifically what this is doing to other companies. So, bravo. Now, whether we'll be able to see something like that happen on Android, that's a much more fractured marketplace, and so I doubt we'll see that happen. But I'm not saying I would switch to Apple products. I need everyone to calm down. That's not what I'm saying. But hey, that would be a check. That'd be a check box. That'd be a check in the box I could not ignore. I have to fully admit. So don't anyone tell John Vigil that. And people who know that, who my friend is that loves that. Moving on. Did Elon Musk kill Dogecoin? Quite possibly. The means giveth and the memes taketh away, says Steve. So Musk was asked repeatedly during the weekend update segment to explain what Dogecoin is. After reciting multiple facts about the cryptocurrency in the chapter of financial, in the character of a financial expert, he was asked if Dogecoin was a hustle. He responded, "Yeah, it's a hustle." And Dogecoin promptly took a dive. Now, I jokingly say that it's dead. He didn't actually kill it. But it is, it took a tumble. And that's not surprising. Everyone that's been speculating based on anything Elon Musk says knows to watch whenever he states he's going to have a large announcement or any massive amount of screen time online, because we have seen these dips and dives in the market happen as a result of things that he has said. So it's not surprising at all. All right. So, like fellow Clubhouse users like myself, you may have been wanting to really get into this app, but you weren't able to because it was only on iOS. On Sunday, the Android version of Clubhouse, which is in a beta version right now, so it's not actually the fully released, it's not version 1.0, but the beta version was released this Sunday, and again, it's still invite only. So if you didn't already have an invite, you still could ask a friend, but if they had not sent you one because you were a Android user, you could now at least try it out. There's already a few things I noticed just trying to set my account up on my Android devices as opposed to iOS. There were a few hiccups, and it does want to sign you out from your previous session, so you can't stay signed in on multiple devices. Once you sign into one, I immediately saw myself get kicked out of another one. Might test that a little bit more later this week, but again, not a huge issue. You just get your phone number is tied to it anyway, so you get a quick code to re-log in. So it's an easy thing to do, but just interesting. Like, you can't stay logged into it, so it's like it's keeping track of your one session or one phone number per session per device, and not on multiple devices. So, but yeah, this has been much needed because other Twitter has already released their competing format for folks that have over 600 followers on their Twitter accounts. And I don't remember if Discord is out already. But again, this is definitely something that could crush Clubhouse before they ever really get out of the gate, even in their invite-only format. But I do wonder if that format is the one thing that's going to make them keep them above the rest of the fray, just because of the inclusivity that creates. So yes, other folks may just add a function onto Twitter and Discord, and I think other apps are also toying with that as well. But it doesn't mean, or yeah, like Reddit's also thinking about doing that. But it doesn't mean the community is going to be the same. So yeah, you can craft a community. Doesn't matter if other folks just add it onto theirs. It may not create the same effect. So we'll have to see what happens. FCC, you're a bad boys. All right, net neutrality. I've been railing about this for a while, but we need to talk about it. So, a New York Attorney General report revealed a staggering amount of fake net neutrality reports that were given to the FCC, or that the FCC touted as evidence that people did not want net neutrality. So before the vote to repeal net neutrality at the end of 2017, they collected public opinion on the policy and received around 22 million comments. Over the past several years, it's been disputed where the comments originated from. And most of the internet thought that was fishy as beep. Yes, I bleeped myself out there. We've probably gone over our number of F-bombs. The result of years of investigation has shown that only 6% of the comments were actually unique. So unique meaning actually could be coming from this, different ISPs, verifiably different accounts. And that the largest broadband companies funded the, hold on to your pants for this one. Goodness, I got so excited, I lost my place. That the largest broadband companies funded a secret Afro-turfing campaign to push the FCC towards repealing net neutrality. Companies AT&T, Comcast, T-Mobile, Sprint, and Verizon simply submitted 8.5 million fake comments. The Attorney General fined 3 of the companies involved in sending the falsified comments 4.4 million. I think that amount should probably be higher because I don't think that's kind of a drop in the bucket for them. But on the flip side, the FCC received an additional 9.3 million fake comments in support of maintaining net neutrality, which according to the report, most of which came from a single college student who was 19 at the time who programmed automated responses to be sent. All told of the 22 million comments received, 18 million were fake. 80% of all the responses that the agency used to come to his decision did not come from real people. Wow. That's exhausting. Now, would it have mattered anyway because of what Patel wanted to do? I don't know. But you definitely wouldn't have had as much of a leg to stand on with 4 million legitimate comments as opposed to additional 18 million fake comments. Yeah, and again, would it have really pushed anyone in the Senate to change during that committee and those hearings back in 2017? I don't know. But FCC seemed pretty content on doing this. So, but again, that just shows you how much the internet companies did not want this to happen. Also, I'm kind of impressed by that 19-year-old college student. Dang, you got 8 million by yourself? 8 million by yourself? That's wild. That's wild. It's still bad. That's still wrong. I want to be clear. I'm impressed by the ingenuity. I still call that's terrible. People don't do that. Bots are awful. That's why we can't get PS5s and Series X's right now or a 3090. So just stop it. Bots are bad, mostly. I'm just impressed. That's bad, but I'm impressed. Am I undercutting my message here by saying I'm impressed? I'll stop. I'll cut out. What I'm not impressed by is YouTube, Google, and Roku are still fighting. We talked about this last week because the Roku and Google deal was expiring and they had not come to a negotiation or not come to a new deal for how Google products would be served on the Roku app. So Google has come up with what I would call the nuclear option, which is adding an option inside of the YouTube app to access YouTube TV. And that's quite the runaround. It's not gonna, you still have to come back to the table to talk with Roku. So doing that's not good, Google. So in the next couple of days, Google YouTube users will start using a start seeing a go to YouTube TV option in their main YouTube app over the next couple of days. And when they select that, they'll be switched over to the standard YouTube user experience or YouTube TV user experience. It will come to Roku devices first, where they say it's currently most needed, but will also come to other YouTube platforms as well. Wow, Google. You couldn't help yourself. You couldn't just work the deal out. And I'm not even really stomping for Roku in this. They're both kind of acting like children. It's just I don't see this helping. I don't see this helping at all in the slightest. So yeah, they basically just stuffed it in the app. Roku's not going to be happy about that. And it kind of does back up what one of the Roku board members was saying last week, or the CEO, I apologize for Roku, was saying last week, that they've basically engaged in monopolistic policies, squeezing out other app developers to be able to even get on Roku. So I don't see this feud resolving anytime soon. It honestly reminds me of Damian Lewis and Paul Giamatti and Billions just going at each other. That's exactly what it feels like. Yeah. But on to our main topics. We had 2 trailers come out this week, one today, one the weekend. Venom, Let There Be Carnage, Stranger Things 4, and before we show these 2 videos, I need to at least say something about both of them. So Venom, I do not care about Venom. The level of care about Venom is how much I care about the Mobius trailer, and the Mobius trailer was out for months before I watched it. That's how little I cared about it. So they're on equal grounds for me. If you liked Venom, it's okay. This is not a judgment on you. This is not saying that you have bad taste, or if you like what you like. I have said that repeatedly on this show and on Commander Shipp show. You can like what you like. I just don't see the appeal in Venom, with the exception of Tom Hardy's performance and Venom's interaction and partnership. I think by the end of the movie, I was sold on that. Just the plot, just did not care. So if I got a buddy comedy with them and Tom Holland or something like that, that might be cool. But I just don't care about the story. And honestly, Venom being a hero is like my least favorite version of Venom. But anyway, Let There Be Carnage. Here we go. And I'll talk about Stranger Things in a second. But we'll go do Let There Be Carnage. So rules: no eating people. Also, the mess he makes, for the neat freaks, I apologize ahead of time, because I'm looking at it and it's driving me nuts. Ah! Look at that. Look at that. He's just, oh. Ooh. Oh gosh, what a mess. That looks like we just had Mother's Day this past weekend, and it almost looks like a kid trying to put together food. Yeah, that was rough. Now, I'm wondering if they're going to keep the Eddie interviewing Cassidy ideas as the way that they interact. So I'm trying to learn more about Cassidy as the murderer. And I'm also curious, is it a piece of Venom that comes off and creates the Carnage symbiote in this one? Because I'm sure, or is there another symbiote that's been running around San Francisco that we don't know about? There's another one dropped down from the symbiote planet. I don't know. We got a couple interesting angles. Visually, it's just. I find it so visually boring. They did calm down his wig. His red wig. In the end credits of the first movie, was pretty terrible. So can at least say they've improved that. And but yeah, I mean, there's some cool shots, but I've never been sold on the look of the symbiotes in this movie. It very much felt like Black Panther end fight, and that's not a knock on Black Panther. I love the Black Panther suit, but when T'Challa is fighting Killmonger there at the end, the difference between their suit literally just being kind of purple. Who's got the purple tinge and the gold tinge was kind of eh. So seeing this symbiotes fight in the first movie, that black and gray on a dark night scene, was pretty awful. So now you're gonna get a black tinge of gray bluish fight against a red blackish fight at night. It's just visually not very interesting to me. Now let's go back to the beginning here. That's visually interesting, seeing the symbiote move around in daytime. It's very interesting. I like that. But during nighttime scenes, I really think they need to go back to the drawing board. But hey, they're not going to listen to me. This thing's already going to come out this year. So what's done is done. Sony doesn't care. They're trying to get that buck. I get it. So I'm not excited. Let me know in the comments what you feel about it. Vartan, hey, good to see you. Looks more like CGI blobs smashing into each other. Yeah, I don't. So again, if you like Tom Hardy and the symbiote talking and picking at each other, that is cool. That is great. I agree with you on that. But if we're talking about the other story elements, I don't care. And just visually, it's so yeah. So let's talk about Stranger Things season 4, and I believe it's Nerd Writer. It could be Pop Culture Detective. I think you know what? I think it's Pop Culture Detective on YouTube. They did a really great video on Hooper. Sorry, no, it is Hopper. Yeah, throughout Stranger Things season 1 and 2, and Hopper in season 1 and 2 is great. He's a broken man trying to put himself back together. Finds a way to reestablish family and roots. So that Hopper is great. Hopper in season 3 though, I have almost never forgiven this show, and I didn't have the words. I knew I could see the tropes and problems that were wrong, but I like that. So there's no reason for me to redo that video. Pop Culture Detective's already done a really good job on that, so go check out that video. But it just thoroughly destroyed this character in a season and bring on these traits onto him that just weren't there. Like, he wasn't a man-child. He wasn't a man-child in the first 2 seasons. He was broken, yes, but when it came to actually doing stuff, like, he handled it as an adult. I don't know who that character is in season 3. So it's the most needless character assassination I've seen in a while. And people talk about, you know what, if I was going to make a Game of Thrones reference, I'm going to wait, because I'm going to do a rewatch of that and see if I still agree with some other. So I'm going to hold that comment. I'm not going to go to my default in that universe. I'll hold that away. Cool. So with that said, this season seems to be focused back on 11 and getting back to more things that happened with her at gaining her powers, which is a time period that I think they really needed. Like, they're trying to move forward too fast, especially I think the last 2 seasons, and there's still these gaping questions that have not been answered. So I'm hoping they'll get to that. Also, there's a longer question, like, the kids are growing up, so at some point you're gonna have to wrap this up or maybe do a time skip. I don't know. But the kids are getting older. They're not gonna look like the kids. I don't know. They need to figure that out, and it's taking so long between filming. I don't know. That's a longer question. But here we go. Stranger Things 4. Getting a little sneak peek back into 11's early life. Time skip. What is this, One Piece? Yeah, it could be. I'd be down for that. I mean, I think a time skip can be really good for a series, because then you're not just making up needless nonsense and to make up episodes. You can actually just get to this is a thing that happened in your childhood, and then we're going to move forward to what they really need to do in their adult lives. Oh, you said the show needed to end after season 2. I don't disagree. I think the only thing I would say is, okay, here's the only, because I do like, because of what happened with Hopper, I was so pissed that yeah, I was kind of done with this thing. I But it goes back to what we're seeing now. Like, I wanted him to at least resolve a little bit more of what happened with her gaining her powers and stuff. And it's not that you have to. And I guess I should clarify too. Like, I'm not a guy that needs everything to be answered. I really don't. I'm not gonna like when people get upset of like, well, I didn't see that person get training in this movie. So how do I know they can use their powers? Like, no, I'm not talking about that. And there can't be too much backstory. You can't explain too much and miss the point that some of the appeal of your character was the mystery. So I understand that. And like with Eleven's like adopted dad, the one experimenting on her, I don't actually need to necessarily know more about him. And even if they're going to show more about her life, use it in a way that can advance the plot. So it's like, we're going to go back and show you these things, but they're relevant to what's happening now. So if you don't get these answered, you're not going to know why these things are happening. That can be a good way to tie those together, to kind of go back and fix some things. So that can be really good. But yeah, I'm not advocating for every single thread to be resolved, but there's still some things that drive me nuts about this universe that I think they could address. The upside down, do we need to have a full explanation of what that is? No. But since they teased the Mind Flayer at the end of season 2, yeah, I was going to want them to resolve that. That would have been a thing that if they hadn't, again, I don't like what happened in season 3, but if they hadn't resolved that, that would have been a little upsetting. Yeah, I could talk for ad nauseum about why I think it's just a nostalgia grab, how old Stranger Things is, but yeah, that'd be a long Lindy Fitness. That'd be a longer conversation, and but it might be a good Patreon only post, and I'll give it that to y'all before I drop it for everyone. But let me know what you think. Are you ready for more Stranger Things? And if you are, let me know why, because I'm apprehensive. They did my man wrong. They did my man wrong. I mean, being protective of 11 is one thing, but the guy he turned into was wild. I don't know who that guy was, and his relationship with Winona Ryder's character. I can't think of her. Joyce. His interactions with Joyce are completely toxic. I don't know who that guy was. I don't know who. I'm not saying there aren't characters like that in the history of shows, but that's not who that guy was. So, you admit Pop Culture Detective ruined the series for me. Exactly. Thank you, Barton. Thank you. I'm more interested to see the end of Stranger Things than I am to watch Venom Let There Be Carnage. But they're in this. If there's a room of things I don't care about, they're both, or things I'm ambivalent. If there's a line of things I'm ambivalent about, they're both under that. So they have not, or sorry, the line of which it would take for me to care about those things, they have not hit that threshold. So they're behind. Cool. So yeah, that's all we got for tonight. Those are the main. There's a few things we'll cover throughout the week back on Commander Shipp Show, which we will be back. I thought you said Venom Let There Be Garbage. You know what? That might be my tagline. Taryn. I like it. That might be my tagline. I might use that. Yeah, I might use that. Because it looks so bad. These are things I'm talking about, which makes me just like, when people ask, like, how can you judge a movie before it even comes out? I'm like, because there's things that start to show up in these trailers, and it's not a marketing hack job. It's, they didn't reshoot these things to make their own marketing reel. They had to use what was there. So there's just shots I see in it that make me like, this looks like barf. This looks like trash. Yeah, you just kind of get used to that. So, yeah. If there's any last questions before we go off the air, another shout out to Steve for getting the notes to me so he can run the show solo. So we'll see him next time. And yeah, I will be on later tonight streaming more Returnal. Had to do some tweaks to the room a little bit during the day, but got that all set up. So should be good to go. And so yeah, I'll stream a little bit of Returnal. I'm not going to do it immediately after the stream. I'll do that probably in like an hour or two. So just look for the notification on Facebook. Might be like 10:30 Central, 11 Central, and play for like an hour or two before heading to bed. And yeah, and then Wednesday night on Nerd Union after Commander Shipp show, I'll be playing more Resident Evil Village. So that'll be my Nerd Union streaming schedule. And then Landon Fitness says, I'll heckle you while snacking. You can try. If you saw my latest stream on Returnal, though, I racked up. There's a mechanic that... so there's a... I'll say this real quick because I'll repeat it tonight for those that are interested. So stagger, the ability to stagger your opponent. So if they get hit by your projectile, how much does it cause them to... can the enemy just keep spamming their attack through as you hit them, or do they have to take steps back, or do they have to cool down? You do that naturally as a player when you get hit, because it means like, oh, now I can't keep hitting, or my character has to recover and different things like that. So there's a weapon, basically a shotgun in the game, that has a stagger percentage, or had like had one block of efficiency as far as staggering. And in the game, you can have different buffs, or the parasites in the game that's how I call it, but basically buffs. They have some positive and negative effects. The negative effect was fall damage, but since I was already cleared most of the area, it had no danger of taking another big fall really, and I knew I was going into the boss battle. I picked that parasite up. It gave me a 30% additional stagger to my weapon. So even the last little enemies before I got to the boss were just getting plowed because they couldn't really spread out a lot of attack. I'm just kind of almost have a clear screen to just bloop 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 bloop, and then going into the final boss, the same thing. Like there was still, the boss could still get a lot of stuff on the screen. So the boss is the boss. But when it came to damage, the stagger just like blah 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 blah, boop 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 boop. That's what it looked like. I was rather proud of myself. So when I do this next run through, I'll try to see if I can recreate that. But I have some other ideas. So even if I don't recreate that stagger effect, the other thing too is because the parasites are random, you kind of have to see what you can take. So it doesn't mean I'll actually be able to do it again. But there probably will be some parasite that gives a boost to one of your offensive stats. Because that's another good way to think about it, like your offensive or defensive stats. So I could probably get away with doing something else that would have a similar effect. And so it may not be stagger, but it might be something else, like rate of fire before cooldown, so on and so forth. So to where I'm just getting a lot of shots out into the air before they can do anything. So I got some ideas. That was really cool. And then I finally got to the next area, and I learned a tidbit. Once you beat a boss, you don't have to go back and rebeat that boss, even if you die. So you might have to restart and go for enemies that are in those areas, but you won't have to redo the boss. So that was a really cool revelation to know. And once you unlock a big area or another biome, another section of the planet, you don't have to unlock that area again. So that's really cool to know. Kind of like the house in the game. There's a house that's got some memories for the character. It kind of serves as a spot for them to be, hey, what's up, Jay? Kind of serves as a spot for that character to relearn parts or kind of learn what's going on around them. That house also stays locked until you need to go to do the next thing as well. Or the house shows up in the other biomes and stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. And yeah, so yeah, we're just about wrapped. If there any more last second questions, but I'll be back on in about an hour-ish and playing some Returnal. And maybe I'll do really good, or maybe you'll see my get my ass kicked. That could be entirely it. But yeah. And hey Barton, thank you for liking the stream. We appreciate it. Cool. Yeah, that has been State of Nerd Union. I've been Commander Shipp. We will see you next week for State of Nerd Union. If you want to catch us again soon, Tuesday nights we got the Quorum. We'll be finishing Shadow and Bone. So if you binge the entire thing, come talk with us about it on Tuesdays. We'll go ahead and knock out the entire series tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central. Commander Shipp Show with me and Major Tom, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central. So him and me will be talking. We'll talk more on the Venom trailer, and we got some other movie topics to go through, along with our thoughts on For All Mankind, which is the Apple TV, show on the alternate version of the space race. And then, yeah, I think that's all. Oh, and then Red Shirt Rejects, we'll be talking Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, the weird one about Space Jesus, Space guy. And on Friday, me producing, Taryn reporting, the rundown should be back and covering everything we might have missed throughout the week. So, yeah, super